And we are live.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Vermont.
Can't have it play out loud for you.
I hear somebody talking. I don't know who that is. It's not me. But in any event, I'll say good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Vermont State Senate Committee on Institutions. I am Joe Benning, the committee chair. Today is Friday, March 11th, 2022. The rest of the committee features Senator Dick Mazza from Colchester Grand Isle, Senator Russ Ingalls from Essex Orleans, Senator Richard McCormick from Windsor County, and Senator Corey Parrott from Franklin County. We are here to talk about the Eastern States Exposition, getting an update from the various vendors who appear. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be sitting in this seat next year, but I just want to put a plug out to all you guys. Next year, I'm hoping you all come in with various samples of what you offer down there so we can have a really good lunch. For the purpose of today's testimony, I just want to give you folks the same explanation I give to all of our witnesses. We are live on YouTube. We have no idea who's out there in the audience listening to us. So when I say something easy like the Big E, which all of you know about, there's a pretty good chance that many of the YouTube listeners haven't the foggiest idea what I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk about the Eastern States Exposition, and we'll all refer to that from now on as the Big E. Should you be testifying today, I'm going to ask that you give us a little brief biography on who you are and what your position is with respect to fitting into the Big E, and then tell us anything you would like. But should you be speaking and I suddenly realize with a red flag that you might say something that needs a little more explanation, for instance, you use the term Big E and we don't know yet what that means, I may stop you. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to keep our YouTube audience in the mix and familiar with all the terms that we're talking about. With that, I am going to start by my schedule says Emily Lapusky is here, Marketing and Export Lead with the Agency of Agriculture. And we would like to begin with you, Emily, if that's okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I just jump in for a second?
I do have a question. Hang on, guys.
Yeah, thanks. I'm dealing with post-eye surgery and I'm supposed to keep my face down. So it appears that I'm asleep and not listening to you, but that's not true. It's just I have to keep my face down.
Thank you for that clarification. We've always been wondering all year what
All those other times I was asleep.
Okay. So, Emily, welcome to Senate Institutions. How are you today?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having us. Happy Friday, and it's great to see you all together again. For the record, I'm Emily Lapusky. I am the Marketing and Export Program Lead for the Agency of Agriculture's Development Division. I am also one of the building managers for the Vermont building at the Eastern States Exposition, Big E. The Big E is an annual 17-day festival that's held in West Springfield, Massachusetts. The Vermont building is fortunate to have so many vendors who come down and join us, some to vend for the whole 17 days. We have some options where they can come down for a week. And additionally, we have Harvest New England Day, which is a great opportunity for vendors to come down and kind of test the waters and see how it goes. And again, thank you for meeting with us today, especially during such a busy time with crossover between the House and Senate. Very fortunate to have all of the vendors that we asked to testify here with us today. We have a mix of some longtime vendors, some new vendors, as well as some vendors who have started at the Big E with us as part-time through either Harvest New England Day or as a week-long vendor and have now joined us for all 17 days last year. This experience as vendors is the Big E. They're happy to talk about the impact that they had on their business, the impact this really unique and regional event has on their business, as well as the state of Vermont. And if it's okay with the committee, I would like to invite Representative Nigro to speak first, just in case he does need to slip away to return to his own committee.
Representative Nigro, please come and join us.
Thank you.
Welcome to Senate Institutions.
Thank you very much. Senator, Mr. Chair, I should say that don't give up on the samples yet. I'm going to be trying to do some at this session. I'll invite you up to my committee when I do.
Okay.
I'll say I'm excited to speak about my business, as most entrepreneurs are, and usually folks are trying to get us to shut up about our businesses, so it's very exciting to be asked to speak about it. A little background to put in context our experience with the Big E. I had worked for 18 years in healthcare. My wife and I had a little bit of an entrepreneurial interest. And in 2016, I built a concession cart, and we bought a cotton candy machine, and we started selling maple cotton candy on Main Street of Bennington, Vermont. Well, the first year, I still, because I'm the kind of guy to keep very specific notes, I have all our charts from that first year where we were making $35 on a given afternoon. Surprisingly, though, we grew quickly. And about 1 year after we started, my wife, this work became her full-time job. And 2 years after that, I realized that I would have to leave my job also to focus on what this business had become for us. Over that time, we kind of found what our niche is, which is we focus on all natural versions of classic treats. So we do cotton candy, as you heard, maple, we do honey and molasses cotton candy as well, no artificial flavor or color. We do slushies with no artificial flavor or color, apple cider slushies, Concord grape slushies, as well as a few other flavors, and cider donuts, pralinated nuts, and a few other small items that we do from time to time. We found our name, Green Mountain Concessions, and our inclusion of Vermont in our marketing materials and when we show up at events speaks volumes about what we are. People associate the Vermont brand with everything that we are, which is all natural, no artificial color, flavor, boutique presentation, locally sourced ingredients. Over the course of our first few years, we kind of built into 3 business lines. The first of those is our concessions business. We attend the largest events throughout the Northeast and bring these items, similar events to the Big E, although the Big E is the biggest that we do now. But we focus on 100,000 person plus events primarily. Our second largest revenue stream is catering, where we focus on large scale corporate events that we will bring our items to. And partly because of the pandemic, in 2020, we started retail sales as well for some of our more unique items. And that's very small at this point, but we definitely have an eye on growing that in the coming years. The impact of the Big E, and I should mention that we, coming off of the pandemic and coming out of the year that everything had been canceled, we didn't know what the last summer was going to look like. We didn't actually get confirmed that we were going to be in the Big E until August, which gave us just over a month to prepare. We also were booked at other events during the Big E, which was an incredible challenge for us. So it was quite the lift for us to scale up and be ready, and we had to invest a good deal in additional equipment to be able to serve as many customers as we knew we would have at the Big E. The impact for our business is impossible to overstate. Most importantly, this is the biggest event that we have ever done, and the most sales that we have ever had at a single event, and significantly so. Second, for our concessions business, this has already helped us get into other large-scale events. We've had the Big E is one of the top 10, I think somewhere between 3rd and 5th largest in the country. A lot of the largest events in the country require, they are looking for experience at million-person plus events, which we didn't have until the Big E. Already since then, we've been invited to 2 additional million-plus person events, and the Big E has really helped open that door for us. In terms of catering, we gave out over 500 business cards during the course of the 17 days of the Big E. We have seen an uptick in inquiries related to our catering business, although we really think that in the coming months is when we're really going to, that this is usually the scheduling period is between now and May, that folks are scheduling us for later in the summer and early fall when we typically do our catering services. And in terms of retail, we put our product in front of, I don't want to quote the number that actually walked through the Vermont building, but you know, certainly hundreds of thousands of people passed our booth and purchased some of our unique items, and a lot of interest in how folks can connect with us to buy more in the future. And I also just want to mention one indirect benefit, which was the energizing nature of working with a group of other Vermont entrepreneurs. We were working 15 hours a day, my wife and I at least were, and were for the weeks leading up to it and the weeks following the Big E too. And yet, working with other Vermont small businesses was just exciting and fun and very, there was a very collaborative feeling to the building. And I would even say that extends to the Department of Agriculture folks and the folks from Buildings and Grounds who were just wonderful to work with. So it's aside from the success we had, it also felt like a very special environment to spend time as an entrepreneur. In terms of the building, and you know, I think we've been asked to speak a little bit to potential needs we could have. The biggest thing we need more of is probably the hardest thing to ever achieve, which is electricity. The building does have a lot of electrical limitations. For the coming year, we have plans to work around that. We're converting some equipment to gas instead of electric, but our capacity is limited by how much electricity we have. The scale of the machines we use is simply limited. There are two things that are, I'm told, or I understand are in the works that are important for our coming year. One is a new fry hood in our booth, and I understand that is in the plans, and a new 3-base sink, which is in the plans. I'm unsure, but we also could use a hand wash sink. So just really all of the components that will meet the Department of Health requirements for our booth are fairly essential for us. In terms of the booth design and the building itself, our building is really special. I'm sure folks that have been there know this or have heard it. You know, there are other state buildings in that row that have a feel of a convention center. The Vermont building does not. The Vermont building has a very genuine feel to it, and we hear that from customers for the entire 17 days. The comments of customers reflected that very thing. I'm trying to, just like I said, my notes are less so that I forget to say anything, but more to reel me in, because I could actually talk about my business all day long very easily. But
so sure, go ahead, Rob.
So are you using this as a, are you recognizing more of a point of sale? It just boosts your sales so much, or is it just increasing the volume of your business outside of the Big E, or a little bit of both? How does that work?
Yeah, no, it's a combination, definitely. I mean, certainly the sales of the Big E is something we're able to leverage already. It's given us the ability to invest more in additional equipment to expand our business. It's opened the door to other events that would have been a challenge for us to get into. And frankly, you know, we have bigger plans for the future that we think the Big E could help us grow into. The booth that was the business that was in our booth previous to us, we had a chance to speak to their owner. They had been there for 25 plus years. they didn't return simply because their business has grown too much in Vermont. And at one point, the Big E was a very large percentage of their sales. It no longer was. And I think that's the dream for us. We would love to have a storefront in Bennington. We have other ideas that we really would like to expand on. And we think the Big E and its success is something we can leverage to meet some of those goals.
Michael, I got a couple questions. First, am I wrong, or were you recently on a Channel 3 clip made in Vermont? Was that?
I'm sorry, the
Channel 3 has a news program called Made in Vermont.
no, that was not us. No.
Have you branched out as far north as Colchester yet?
Well, the reality is for our retail sales, the answer is no. Right now, our retail sales are only in southern Vermont. As I said, that's been our slowest and most recent addition. So we don't have that much reach. In terms of our catering and our concession end of our business, the truth is we currently spend much more time in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, because that's where the population centers are. So we tend to go, there aren't really 100,000 plus person events in Vermont. So we end up traveling much more to other locations.
So you don't come to any other fairs, you don't come to the Champlain Valley Fair?
Currently, we used to do the Strolling of the Heifers. I'm not actually sure if that's going to occur moving forward. And for years, we've done the Southern Vermont Garlic Festival because it's in Bennington, and we,
So you live in Bennington?
we live in
Oh, I
Bennington.
see.
Yes. So we feel that's important to be part of. But aside from those events, currently we spend a lot of time outside of Vermont. But we are definitely interested in moving more operation to Vermont. One of the
But you
reasons.
have 3 or 4 items you sell, right? It's not just cotton candy.
That's right.
Oh, I see, you've got a.
Donuts, slushies, or frozen cider, truthfully, is our top seller across every event we go
How do you
to.
get the help to run all these things?
That could be a challenge. We certainly get some seasonal help. College students, kind of our standard. The Big E in particular, because it requires temporary help, folks that are really just gonna help you for a few days. It's
That's
really.
fast paced, you gotta know what you're doing.
Interesting. Well, if you want to break into the Vermont market, there's Maz's store in Colchester.
Chittenden County's a big area.
I'll be connecting shortly.
Chittenden County's is a big area. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of retail in Chittenden County. I mean,
For sure.
yeah, it is.
Yep. Well, you're hailing from Bennington. That town's got a
Yeah.
great name, by the way. Anybody else have any questions? Michael, thank you very much for coming down. You're
Congratulations on your business.
Thank you very much.
always welcome to return and send this.
I wish you'd have brought something cotton candy.
Like I said, I will be doing samples.
God.
You'll get an invite.
He knows where we live.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
Thank you. Emily, I'm coming back to you. I'm not sure if you had another place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So from here, I think we can just head down the list. So if Ron from Mother Merrick's is ready, I'll invite you to speak next.
Okay.
I'm
Ron,
unmuted. Oh, can you hear me okay?
we can hear you okay.
Great. Well, first of all, having a hearing like this, I think is very, very important because the legislature, of course, has in its hands the ability to promote Vermont businesses in very effective ways that we as individual entrepreneurs cannot.
Hey, Ron,
So,
Ron, let me just stop you for a second. Could you introduce yourself and tell us what you do so the public can know?
Sure. Okay. So my name is Ron Mancini. My wife and I own Mother Merrick's Confectionery in Manchester. We started our business 45 years ago, making chocolates and cakes in small batches for our retail store. We still only have one retail store, and we're very happy about that. We are a charter member of the Vermont Specialty Food Association, which was initiated through the Vermont Department of Tourism back in 1983. Back then, tourism really recognized the power of agriculture and marketing Vermont, and was very instrumental in bringing food producers together in a cohesive organization that could help not only them as individuals grow, but also promote Vermont as a destination and a great place to live or buy products from. Over the years, we've been winners of the Taste of Vermont culinary competitions here in Vermont that were held mostly in the 80s and early 90s, again, part of tourism. Back in the 80s, we were one of 10 specialty food producers to represent the state at Bloomingdale's in New York City for a period of an entire month. Again, highlighting the specialty foods of Vermont and being able to promote directly to that significant and lucrative market for Vermont. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts are really those that really drive the visitor economy and in many ways drive the wholesale and retail economy as well. Today, we still remain a direct-to-consumer business with 17 employees, and we continue through our one retail store and through our catalog and website. We've been a vendor at the Big E, or the Eastern States Exposition, since 2011, and our first introduction to that was through what was then called Vermont Specialty Food Day, which is now the Harvest New England Day. Gave us an opportunity to be on the lawn in front of the building, and it gave us a taste of what the Big E had to offer. And over the next 4 or 5 years, we had rotating booths. We were temporary vendors. First year, 3 days, then a 7-day, et cetera, until 7 years ago when we became a 17-day vendor at the event. Our Butter Crunch candy, which is made exclusively with Cabot Creamery butter, and our Lemon Lulu cakes are the two principal items that we sell at the Big E. We focus on those signature items because it's easy to convert those items to our mail order customers. And we market aggressively and collect demographics from our Big E customers. Everyone who buys from us, we collect demographic data and we market aggressively throughout the entire year to them. So we get a big following in our retail store, but especially at Christmas time, we get thousands of dollars of business from Big E buyers who bought maybe a $10 item from us at the Big E, but now they are corporate customers of ours who sell to their clients. We ship our Butter Crunch and Lemon Lulu cakes to their business clients. Right now, we're having our Butter Crunch blowout sale, and I would say and then we market that only to our Butter Crunch buyers. And I would say 10% of our sale that's going on right now come from people who were first introduced to us, or we were introduced to them at the Big E. So it's, as a company, capturing this data, and we share this data with the state. We also send emails out to our Big E buyers, letting them know that the Big E is coming. And we share those demographics, and those demographics for us, about 40% of our Big E buyers come from Connecticut, 30% come from Massachusetts, and then New York State, and actually only 2 to 3%, and probably because of our population density, come from Vermont, who actually come to the Big E to buy. So we have an audience that we can attract business to the state through many venues, through our specialty food producers who wholesale into those markets, as well as attract visitors to Vermont. And that's been a real boon for us. So as a result, the Big E has helped propel our mail order business and website business, where it now represents 65% of our total revenue. And so I look at the Big E as an importer of money into the state of Vermont, just like our website and catalog is, because we're attracting dollars and sales directly through that vehicle. And the Biggie is such a significant portion of that. But while the Biggie is significant for us as an individual company, it has a greater impact because there's no other venue, and that was spoken to a little bit earlier, that generates 1.5 million paying visitors over a 17-day period that we can market to. And that, where can we go to get to 1.5 million people? You know, that's more than double the state of Vermont in a 17-day period. The other thing is that, like our state, our Biggie exhibitors are made up of small to medium-sized entrepreneurs who are the best advocates for their personally made products. Each one of us personally makes our products, and all the values that the state of Vermont represents and is known for. So we become those 20, 30, 40 vendors that are either on a rotating basis or are there for the entire duration are your sales force, the state of Vermont's sales force for tourism, for agriculture, for attracting new business to the state of Vermont while growing our own businesses, which is why I think it's really important for the state to aggressively support the Eastern States Exposition Vermont presence through the Vermont building, through improvements, upgrades, and marketing. Those dollars are returned to all of us, which are in turn returned to all of you. It allows me to pay 17 people that pay income taxes in the state and are good state citizens. And I'm open to questions.
Ron, where are you located?
We're in Manchester.
And do you have a retail shop in Manchester?
Yes, we started our retail shop 45 years ago in Manchester, and we're still there.
Do you have any satellite offices like Colchester, for instance?
We do not. We have no other retail presence anywhere, and that is by design. We're very happy with our one Manchester store, but our other store is our catalog and website, and that allows us to remain personal with our business, with our customers, market to them directly, and we're constantly promoting the values of who we are, where we are, and what we do.
Well, if you ever want to branch into the Canadian market, there's this place where all the Canadians come on their boats. I'm just giving you that little seed to plant.
Yeah. Wait a minute, I got.
All right, well, maybe
Too late.
Yeah. What are you doing?
it sounds like we need a Big E North.
Yeah, we're going to get into that discussion in a moment because I have a brilliant idea for Emily a little later on. Ron, we appreciate you coming by, and don't forget next year, treats are always welcome.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Emily, I have Denise Monte, owner of the Village Peddler and Chocolatorium, scheduled next. Is she on your list?
She is. Thank you so much, Ron. Denise, feel free to take it away.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Denise Monte, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today. My family owns and operates 2 chocolate shops in southern Vermont. So we've got the southern part of the state covered here, and who has been speaking with you today. We own the Village Chocolate Shop on Main Street in Bennington. And that's where our chocolatiers, which are my father and brother, make all of our chocolates and caramel and fudge, caramel corn and gelato using Vermont sourced ingredients whenever possible. And then our main location is the Village Peddler and Chocolatorium located in East Arlington. We've been in business there for over 34 years. And our gift shop there has an assortment of our homemade chocolates and gifts, Vermont products, as well as our gelato. And in the back part of that store, we have the Chocolatorium, which is an exhibit where you can learn about the history of chocolate, and how it's made, and you can make your own chocolate bar or have a flight of chocolate. And we'll make sure we bring samples the next time for you.
If we're allowed to make our own chocolate, we may have to plan a committee trip down to East Arlington.
That sounds good. Then you can visit all of us down there. My mom does all the bookkeeping and the shipping for both of our stores. And my sister and I are teachers, but we work at the business on weekends and during vacations and summertime. And in addition to the 5 of us, we have 2 full-time employees and 4 part-time employees that work between the 2 stores. Talking to people and welcoming them to the beauty of Vermont has been important to our family. And the 5 of us completed the Vermont Ambassadors Program through the Department of Tourism. And then in 2010, I was asked to volunteer at the tourism booth at Eastern States Exposition in the Vermont building. And so I just jumped at that chance. I just happened to be working that day with Vicki Tebbets. And during the day, she was talking about the Vermont Attractions Association and how she thought our chocolate exhibit would be a perfect fit. But the thought of that and the cost seemed just overwhelming to us. So we just didn't think we could do it. But Vicki didn't give up, and she passed our name along to others who reached out and explained more about it. And eventually we became members. That decision was one we will never regret. The first year of membership, we saw growth in our business, and it continues to grow every year. So even before we were a vendor at the Vermont building, the Big E was already helping our business. While I was there, I also spoke to the building manager, and she indicated that they were always looking for new vendors in the Vermont building. But again, 17 days seemed impossible for us. But they also had 2-day rotating booths at the time, and we thought we might be able to manage that. So we applied, and in 2011, right after Hurricane Irene, we had our first experience as a vendor. And I just remember so clearly, we were all set to go, and then one of the other vendors had backed out, and the building manager asked us to come for 3 extra days. It was the start of the fall foliage time, and we thought we couldn't possibly leave our business for that many days. So we agreed to just stay for 3 days so that we could head back to Vermont for the weekend. And that year, the business was okay and was good enough for us to think about returning. And over the course of the next 4 years, we went from being there from 4 days to 10 days. And then we took that leap and requested the full 17 days. Over the course of the last 10 years, our sales have steadily increased, with a record increase in 2021 of over 20% from our previous fair in 2019, which was huge for us. I talked before about how small our staff is to run 2 businesses, and chocolate and most of our products are perishable and need to be made right before we sell them, and certainly right before the fair. So the time necessary to make all the additional product to sell at the fair, as well as leaving our business at a pretty busy tourist time, is not a trivial thing for us. And when a vendor agrees to be at the fair for 17 days, it's not just 17 days. There's the time away from the production of things you need for your main business, as well as all the days for setup and cleanup, and the additional staff and overtime to keep your primary business open, especially when you're taking several of your people to work at the fair. During the fair, many nights my brother would drive back to Vermont to make another batch of caramel or to pick up something that was made during the day, and then drive back early in the morning. Somebody mentioned 17-hour days. That's definitely true for a lot of us. There's also the added expenses of staying in a hotel for that time, and meals and gas. And as a business, we have to ask ourselves, is all of this worth it? Is the immediate financial gain enough to warrant all these difficulties and expenses? Does our time at the Big E lead to increased online sales? Do we notice people visiting our store and reporting that they discovered us at the Big E? Are there calls to our store asking if we'll be at the Big E again and if we could bring something for them? And we decided the answer to all of those questions is a resounding yes. The overall financial impact on our business has been significant. It's allowed us to purchase new equipment to make our homemade gelato. It's also allowed us to hire some part-time seasonal workers. And most recently, that increase in funding money that we raised helped us to make ends meet after all the struggles due to COVID. The history of the Big E and the Vermont building and the Avenue of States is just amazing. And the building has served Vermont and the Eastern States Exposition well for many, many years. We're getting close to the 100th anniversary, I believe. To honor that, the legislature in Vermont needs to provide care and upkeep for the building. And the design of the booth spaces and layout of the building needs to be reviewed. And there are some overall building needs that need to be upgraded. And at this present time, the building needs some significant work to protect the health and safety of all the vendors and visitors. And I think somebody mentioned that before, Mike might have mentioned the urgent needs are related to electricity and hot water. And multiple times the circuits are tripped and all the equipment throughout the building or certain sections can shut down. In our space, when that happens, we can't keep dipping our caramel apples. Also, the health inspector has indicated for the past couple of years that the hot water heater for our space is not adequate. And so we have to stagger its use. We share our sink with someone else, so we have to stagger everybody's use of it, which impacts our business and the health of the vendors and the visitors. And it became apparent during the pandemic that the need for not just food-related businesses, but other vendors there need to be able to wash their hands throughout the day. So there needs to be more sinks placed throughout the building. Other needs, not quite as urgent, but include the design of the booths and the aisles. The aisles are extremely narrow, which causes large crowds and wall-to-wall people. Our space is only 2 booths away from the stairway leading upstairs, but it can take 15 minutes to get through the crowd sometimes just to go to the bathroom. In addition to all the safety concerns that those crowds present, there's impacts on all the businesses, because with that many people, the visitors are not able to walk across the aisle to see vendors on both sides of the aisle. And some people don't even come into the building at all because it's just too many people. I believe in previous testimony when Emily spoke to you, she spoke about that there were smaller crowds at the fair this past year, but that actually helped our business because visitors could see our whole booth. They could see people on both sides, and they had the space and time to engage with us and talk more about our product as well as the state. The design of the center of the building and the walls there doesn't really allow for adequate airflow through the building. And a couple of years ago, there was one day that there was so much humidity in the air and in the building, there was a layer of water on the floor for the entire day and nothing could make it go away. And you could see people slipping as they walked through the building. And several vendors, including ourselves, had to throw away product that was ruined by the moisture. Another thing about the booth spaces is each vendor has to design their display around whatever fixtures already exist there. Mike spoke about, there was a previous vendor in his booth and they had to make it work for their items. Specifically in our booth, there's a pole in the middle of the space, which impacts how we display things and impacts traffic flow. So looking at the whole building and redesigning spaces will help improve the visitor experience and hopefully increase sales. Another thing is that the commitment to work at the Big E requires very long days. Vendors need a place to sit, relax, get something to eat and cool off. Due to the design of the building and placement of vendors, some which generate more heat than others, the very center of the building is extremely warm even when it's cool outside. So the only place vendors can sit and relax is the small kitchen upstairs. Vendors also need to be able to utilize a bathroom, and the only way to access the bathroom is to climb 2 flights of stairs. This is challenging even for those of us who are fit after a few days of being on your feet all day. Once you get upstairs to the bathroom, there's 2 more steps to go into the tiny bathroom. So it's not handicap accessible, and it provides a challenge for those who are healthy and fit in so many other ways, but can't walk upstairs.
Doesn't sound like you're very happy there.
No, I'm thrilled.
You got anything positive to say about it?
I do, but I was asked to tell you some of the needs that the Vermont building has. So that's what some of the things I wanted to address.
We're kind of laughing because we have all year been dealing with HVAC systems needed in the courthouses, the state house, you name it, everybody needs an HVAC system. I think this is the first time we're hearing that so does the Big E.
Vermont is primarily a tourist and agricultural economy, and the Vermont building represents iconic Vermont products and promotes specialty products and showcases Vermont and provides opportunity for visitors to experience the best that Vermont has to offer. And when people come to Vermont after having been at the Eastern States Exposition and they want to visit the vendors they met, they shop in other stores and they eat in other restaurants and they stay in hotels, and that benefits the entire state. And looking back to 2011, I could not have ever realized or imagined the full extent of the impact that the Big E would have had on our business. The impact is so strong and important to us that even though we have to leave our business for 17 days during the beautiful fall foliage time, it's worth all of the work and the effort. And the tagline for our store is, if it begins with chocolate, it ends with a smile. We love Vermont, and we want everyone in New England to know, if it begins in Vermont, it ends with a smile. The Big E has been very good to us, and we have enjoyed being there and the friendships and the people that we've met and known. And I'm sorry it sounded like I was talking about some unfortunate things, but those are all things that we're certainly continuing to accept and do, because being there is such a wonderful experience for us.
So Denise, a quick question. Your chocolate products, are they assembled on an assembly line of some kind?
No, so my father and brother are the chocolatiers. So in our shop in Bennington, we make all of the products. So we do have an enrober. So sometimes some of our other employees have to take some of the things off the enrober, kind of like the I Love Lucy episode. But most of the things are made, everything is made in that kitchen, but it's not a big manufacturing. We're not like Lake Champlain chocolates. We're doing everything in small batches by hand.
So when your workers take them off of that, I forgot the word you used, but I'm assuming those are rejects?
No, so what happens on an enrober, the idea is that you put it on, it moves down a conveyor belt and it gets a layer of chocolate on the bottom, and then it's coated in a whole layer of chocolate, and it keeps moving through a cooling tunnel. And then when it gets to the end, we take it off and put it in little cups to sell. We do occasionally have rejects, which we put aside so that we can let our legislators have some chocolate to munch on.
Well, I was going to say, Post Office Box 142 in Lyndonville, Vermont. We'll gladly take them. Denise, I want to thank you for coming by today. Next, I have Paul. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Denise before we move on. Okay, I have Paul Hill from J&P Bonita next on my list.
I'm going to throw a small curveball at you and invite Jeffrey to speak next with Better Wheel. Jeff is actually currently setting up for a trade show, and we want to make sure he's able to get back and support his staff at his booth.
Is that Jeffrey with the hand up?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. Jeffrey, you're muted at the moment.
Still muted.
Still can't hear you.
There you
All
go.
There you go.
All right. Hi, my name is Jeff Chevalier. I'm from Newfane, Vermont, so I'm down south as well. I make these. They're solid wood, hand-turned beer koozies. I make them using all Vermont hardwood. Most of it I harvest from my property or buy from my local foresters and loggers. I mill all the wood myself. The only thing I'm currently working on is drying it in Vermont. Right now I'm drying it in Massachusetts, but we're going to fix that soon. The Big E for us has been tremendous. It was, we started off, we were only going to be there for 7 days. Last minute, I think it was Jay's Woodworking was going to share the booth with us. Last minute, they decided to pull out. So we ended up there for all 17 days, which was quite the adventure. It turned out to be better than I could have ever expected. We kind of scrambled to make as much product as we could. It's myself, my wife, and a couple friends. My parents help out. It's a real family affair. And yeah, that space for us took us from a very part-time entrepreneur, kind of, filling in the gaps when I couldn't find other things to do, make furniture, do construction, whatever. It took me into a full-time job and then some. It was, the 17 days there were a little bit of it. It was about 15 days nonstop leading up to it. The 17 days of the Big E, I had to find friends to watch my booth, run home and make stuff, make more product. And I still could not keep up. It was, I'd say I was running at about 200% capacity thanks to the crowd that I saw there. It also led to my online business growing from a trickle, a couple orders a week, 5-10 orders a week tops. All of a sudden I'm dealing with 30, 50, 100 orders at a time, to the point where I can't find the wood to create my product fast enough. So it's been amazing. It's been a lot of growing pains for me, but it's been really good. Right now we're up at the New England Made trade show representing our product, trying to pick up some more wholesale clients. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about the Big E and what that building has offered me for my business, for my family. We're currently looking to hire a couple people to help us out now. It was huge. That's about all I could say. It's just, we were very lucky to get in. I feel grateful to be there. The building, as she mentioned, needs some help, but I also feel like it's a pretty good representation of Vermont. I see everybody making it work, which is a big part of what we do in our state. The ventilation could be a little better. I don't deal with hot water. I don't deal with bathrooms so much, so I don't have any electricity requirements. None of those things directly impact me, but I could definitely see that it could use a little upkeep here and there. The exterior, the facade could use a little love as well. Some of the fascia boards are not quite there anymore. Some of the pointing on the brickwork needs to be touched up. But all in all, it's just an amazing resource for us to have as a small business, and I feel very grateful to be there.
Jeffrey, thanks very much for coming to join us this afternoon. Are you in Newfane now?
I am not. I am in Portland, Maine right now.
I was going to say, doesn't look like you got much snow there right now.
We don't have much snow in Newfane either. We got 7 inches yesterday and it's gone now.
Yeah.
But,
all right. Well, thank you, sir, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Emily, is it okay to go back to Paul Hill?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Paul Hill. You are probably more familiar with my parents, Pat and Jay Hooper, who have run the Vermont Cheese Booth since 2005. They extended the invitation to me about 7 years ago to come help them. And I had initially told them, yeah, I'll help you next year. And 1 week into the fair, the year that conversation took place, my mother had bought me a plane ticket, and I had to scramble to get somebody to cover my businesses, and came down to help. And the rest is history. I've enjoyed it. I think I helped them do some fine tuning to help improve the efficiencies of the booth and how they executed their sales. And I found it very easy. It's, I have a background of 20 years with Burger King Corporation. And I joke with them quite often that it's just like running a Burger King, basically. Just from a operations perspective, that is. I feel strongly about continuing to do business there. As many of you may know, my parents are getting up there in age. My dad's birthday is always usually, if it's not the week before the fair, it's during that first weekend. And this year he's going to be 88. And probably for the last 3 years, they've told me they were not going to continue to participate in it. And I think just they love the social aspect of it. They've been there so long. A lot of people come in and say to me, hey, where's your dad? Where's your mom? We've tried to help facilitate getting them, out of the building by 4 o'clock every day. So they come in the morning, and dad takes care of the banking and works a register. And from my perspective, I want to continue that for them. They will not be participating on a daily basis, but I know they actively want to come down for the first day. And I think my mom wants to be there on Vermont Day. I enjoy coming home for that. Some of you may know, I live in Florida. I own a brewery and a restaurant down here in the Brevard County area. And I make time in my schedule in September and October each year to come home for that. I was born and raised in East Montpelier, went to the University of New Hampshire, and then moved to Florida to chase a job that I had been offered once I graduated. I'm kind of the philosophy too, where I kind of overcome and adapt when obstacles face us. I think that we've been doing that for so long, and by we, I mean me for the last 7 years and my parents since 2005, that we kind of have it down to a science where we're concerned. And, when changes occur, just roll with the punches, I always say, and just make it work. And we seem to be able to do that. We've been fortunate. My parents have struck up a relationship with a local church, and they have always been able to supply us with the staff that we need to operate for the 17 days. And I think a couple of I kill myself. I come in at 2 o'clock in the morning and don't leave until the building closes every night. And for the financial rewards, it's definitely worth it.
Well, what's the product that you're actually displaying at the Big E?
We sell Cabot cheddar cheese products, Vermont Creamery cheese products, Jasper Hill cheese products. Some are packaged. There's 5 cheeses. Probably the most popular is Cabot does a special cheddar cheese that's aged 2.5 years for us every year. There's 5 specific cheeses that we buy in bulk and cut and package in the booth, with the Big E being by far the most popular.
Cheese, I thought it was beer.
And to your point, it never ceases to amaze me how much cheese people buy at the fair. My parents have done this for years and always told us about it. Growing up, we had never been to the Big E. I really didn't know anything about it. The first time I came in, it was on Vermont Day. I showed up probably 5 o'clock. My mother had been just been taken to the infirmary because she'd passed out. So I had to kind of finagle my way into the fairgrounds, but it's a good time. I really enjoy it. Some of Eric and I are buddies. He runs the Ben & Jerry's booth. He comes in almost as early as I do. And, we pal around in the building, and, it's fun to us.
Well, it's nice to have you. I bet you don't have any snow down there right now.
It is 84 degrees and sunny right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very nice talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks.
You can have 84.
That's too hot.
Yeah, I'll take this.
Paul, we appreciate you coming, and just so that I know, on my way home going through Cabot, am I entitled to stop in for some free samples?
Well, I think if you drop my parents' name, you might be okay there.
Okay.
I don't think my name's gonna get you far.
Well, thank you very much for coming by with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Emily, I have Dan Fulham coming up next. Is Dan with us?
I don't see him on the screen, so I'll give just a second to see, make sure he's not with us. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Dan was able to join us, so I'm going to invite Brittany with the skinny pancake to jump in.
Good afternoon, Brittany. Welcome to Senate Institutions. And the first question for you right off, who came up with the name?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I am Brittany, and I've worked with the Skinny for a long time, but Benji Adler is the owner and founder, and he came up with the name the Skinny Pancake. It is another word for crepe, so that's what we specialize in. We make crepes of all kinds, sweet and savory, and the first ever crepe was spun in 2003 in Burlington on the Church Street cart, which Benji and his brother actually built from old barn materials in Vermont, and the cart actually still operates today. And I would love to come bring samples to the Senate anytime. Yes. You can also hop right over to our store right in Montpelier. We have 8 locations in the state of Vermont. Stowe, Montpelier, Quechee, our Burlington waterfront location. We're also in the airport at the University of Vermont. We still operate the cart on Church Street every summer. And the team that works at the Big E is actually a team of folks who onboards every summer, travels all around the Northeast to fairs, music festivals, and events. And we've been doing that since 2007. So yeah, the Big E is a really important part of our mission, our marketing strategy. We love to go out there and bring our product to the people. It is the best way to build brand awareness. We want to get our crepes in the hands of folks who are out there at events and festivals having a great time, because what, makes you feel any happier than having a great product and eating something sweet, whether it's Vermont maple sugar and butter, Cabot butter, of course, or any local vegetables paired with some Vermont bacon, cheese, all that ooey gooey yumminess is that's how we get our name out there. So like I said, since 2007, we've had an additional team driving all around the Northeast selling crepes, and the Big E is sort of an example of how we've tried to level up on that department. We've outgrown events that have, 100 to 300 or even 1,000 people. And so the Big E was really an opportunity to challenge ourselves and say, can we do this? Can we do this at this volume? And can we do this outside of our concentric circles in Vermont? It's a little bit going out on a limb. And so we've done it 3 times. We've been at the Big E twice outside, part-time only in the shed. And then last year in 2021, we were so grateful to be able to do 17 full days inside. So personally, I've done 2 of those tours. So I've done one out back, part-time in the shed. It was a little bit more of a pop-up, really your make it work scenario, trying to be out there with the elements and, really seeing maybe a 1/5 of the people who come into the actual building, versus last year we were able to be right inside. And I'm telling you, we had 400% more sales compared to doing part-time outside. So why did we do so much better? Well, first of all, we had a ton more space. We had additional footprint, so we were able to have more hot cooking appliances to make the crepes. We were also lucky enough to sell coffee, which we were super happy to do for everyone in the Vermont building. These vendors need coffee all day, every day, trust me. And so we were so happy to be able to provide that service, give people that little breath of fresh air, take a moment, have a cup. It's on us, especially if you bring your reusable mug, and give everyone a moment to kind of center and take a breath. In addition to, just having increased footprint to put out product, we had increased footprint to put up signage, to tell people about all of our brick and mortars in Vermont, to show them a map of where else they can find us, encourage them to visit us on social media, and really come and tell us about their experience. We did see a number of comments come through after their experience, like, this was my first time ever having a crepe, and we're so happy you're here now. And I've been to Burlington before. It's awesome to see you closer to home, and we'll be back later in the week. So that opportunity, using a point of sale system inside, which we weren't able to do outside due to the electrical restrictions, was really, really helpful being inside the building. So a little recap there. Obviously, we've been there 3 times and we are the newbies in the building. So folks here have been 25, 30 years at the building, and we're still coming in and really learning how is this space going to impact our business and what is that going to mean for us. Last year, we were about 2 weeks away, or rather, we were like 6 weeks away from our grand opening in Albany, New York, which is about 100 miles from the Big E. So having that promotional opportunity to spread that that announcement and get the word out there right around that opening was really huge for us. It also provided a working opportunity to bring our new management team for the Albany location all together. And so they had some really great team building, and they were able to work alongside me and my crew to really engage with the culture of Vermont and really start to understand how the Skinny Pancake got its roots, you know, maximize our positive impact, working with the other vendors, letting folks borrow our cart, offering a hand if they needed, you know, an extra bag of ice brought in, and, you know, just really trying to dive into the community in the most positive way that we could as the newbies in the building. And we do anticipate a similar scenario this year. We are growing. The Skinny Pancake is looking to expand beyond Vermont. You know, we like to say we're a zebra and we need to bring those stripes to other places. We are part of an amazing agricultural community, restaurant community here in Vermont. And we really believe we can bring that vibe outside of Vermont and into other parts of New England. So we really hope that this year will be another big announcement about where we're opening next. And hint, it's pretty close to the Big E. So this should be a great year for us in terms of marketing.
You don't sound very excited about the company.
I'm very excited about the company. I thought the Big E was a great experience. We really had an opportunity to meet so many more people. And it's not that it's dead outside and in the back by the shed, but there's not a lot of folks who know to, you know, turn out of the corral. When you're in the building and it's busy, you're really sort of forced with this kind of mob mentality to keep in track. And so getting folks to go outside, things that happened in years past was like live music was really helpful. It definitely drew people out to the back of the building. So what I would suggest for folks who are going to take on that space is just create a little bit more of a life out there, maybe additional signage, or just have folks know it's even out there. Take a deep breath and, you know, get outside, and in the there's wooden picnic tables all throughout, have a break and enjoy that. And I guess if I had to jump on the bandwagon with folks who are calling out electricity, yes, we use electric griddles. We could use gas griddles. That's a double-edged sword, because then I would also ask you for a brand new hood system. So you tell me, pick your poison. There's definitely a little bit of updates that we could use as a food service provider. We need hot water, we need hand wash sinks, you know, we need a little bit more power, but we were able to make it work. And that's our motto. And we want to make it work. And we saw, you know, perfectly good business, and we would be happy to do it again in the same way if we had to.
Really appreciate you coming by. And just so you know, the current makeup of the Senate Institutions Committee, I was listening to the list of places that you actually are. And it occurred to me that you are not in most of the places that this committee represents. So this is a golden opportunity for you to branch out into Northern Lake Champlain. You could cover all of Dartmouth, Hanover's college area.
Upper Valley.
And in the Upper Valley. And of course, the Northeast Kingdom, which is a great opportunity to break into the Canadian Sherbrooke market. And in the kingdom, we actually know how to spell the word crepe. So I hope you can.
You're in Chittenden County. That's important. That's it.
Well, we are in Queechee, so that's the closest to the Upper Valley. I'll get you.
Yeah, Queechee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to get past the Queechee Gorge first, though. That's an option. Thank you very much for coming. And oh, by the way, next year,
Here we go.
when you come and you bring treats for the committee, enter the west side of the building, stop at the first door on your right. The new lieutenant governor will make sure the committee gets the treat. Okay?
I'm sure. Thanks so much.
Hey, that's good.
Thank you very much for coming.
That's good.
Emily, I have Rob Hosling is still out there somewhere. And I don't see Dan yet. I see, okay, Bob, welcome to Senate Institutions. And I'm not sure if you were on earlier, but again, we would like to have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your organization. And for the folks that are out there in YouTube land, they want to know a little bit about you and how you fit into the Big E.
Sure thing. I have been here and I've been listening in. It's been a great session. My name is Rob Hauslein. I'm also known as Sugar Bob. I am a small maple producer in the southern part of the state with a specialty food company in Rutland called Sugar Bob's Finest Kind. We add value to maple products, specifically in the savory space. Our flagship product is smoked maple syrup, which is our innovation, and we make a line of hot sauces, barbecue sauces, and coated nuts that we sell throughout the state, the region, and internationally. We have participated at the Big E for about 5 or 6 years, primarily at the Harvest New England Day, which is a great place for small companies to get their start at that venue. And we're fortunate to be full-time inside vendors last year for the 17-day pull. It was an amazing experience. We did about 6% of our annual revenue, which was quite a lot for us during that 17-day stretch. One theme that I like to talk about always in my journey as a business person is finding the levers that allow us to punch above our weight. Right, we are a small company with 4 employees in Rutland, but our multiplier effects go far beyond the walls of this little business here on Ranbury Road. We directly support 4 other sugar makers of significant scale who have grown their operations to supply us with feedstock. We use a co-packer in Barry that employs 20 or so employees. We, as well as the usual extension of professional services that small businesses like mine support. So in punching above our weight, I like to use the levers that the Agency of Ag has provided us successfully for the year, the Vermont Specialty Food Association. And the Big E is just one in a long line of these things where when you show up and you get to stand on the same platform as some of the iconic Vermont brands, you really have this sense of inclusiveness in the state, inclusiveness to the business community. And, you're selling right next to Ben and Jerry's. You're standing in the same space as, these really important Vermont brands. And it lets you tell a story that's authentic and that resonates with a great big customer base that stretches well beyond the borders of the state. And I will posit to you that it's an equal opportunity for the legislature to punch above their weight in funding the upkeep and improvements at the Vermont building. Probably if you look at the New England states, Vermont has one of the lowest populations and one of the smaller budgets. But on the Avenue of the States down in West Springfield at the Big E, all the buildings are the same size. And so the dollars that you put into that building really are showing the world at large, the 1.5 million people who walk down that avenue, that we are in it to win it, right? And the businesses within it are in it as well. The Vermont building's condition is it's a classic building, right? It's timeless. And as it comes up to its 100th anniversary, you want to help maintain that timeless classicness of it, but you need to remember that as a deferred maintenance is something to be taken care of before that 100-year mark comes up. So money spent in that building will benefit not only the businesses, but also the visitors and the image of Vermont as a whole. I think I'm going to be short and sweet today. Leave it at that.
Well, Bob, first off, some kudos for your website. Senator Ingalls has been pulling up all the websites of folks who've been testifying today. The flaming maple leaf is a really effective tool. It looks really nice on your website. The second question is the hat you're wearing. I know this guy has got a store in Colchester who probably sell those for a pretty penny. Do you actually sell those?
The hats are a promotional item at this time. But of course, everything's for sale. We can keep retail vendors in stock with all of our products and apparel for sure.
Great to know. Anybody got any questions for Bob?
No, I just ordered something from him.
What did you order from?
I ordered the sample pack of this product right here, so.
Ooh, look at that.
There you go. There you go.
Make sure you get your money.
Very good. Bob, appreciate you coming by the Senate institutions today.
The pleasure's been mine, and the access that we get to this to the other levels of state really make Vermont one of the most special places to live. We enjoy access to the legislature, access to the agencies, and the responsiveness that we get back, and that ability to have these communication channels open really drives the economy and lets Vermont, as a small state, really punch above its weight on the national stage, as we've seen in politics, but also now in commerce as well. So thanks very much for the time.
Thanks, Bob. Emily, I'm coming back to you for a second. I had Jessica Dime was scheduled to be with us, and I don't know whether she's appearing or not. I see her on the screen at least. And of course, Joe Asia has been sitting here very patiently all day. I don't know whether you've got some order of events here.
I believe they just have a brief thing to say, but just mainly here to support just in case there are any questions about the renovations or budgetary.
Return on investment.
Can I?
Yep.
Ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
How's the booth rental and all of that? How's that work?
This is the question I was gonna ask.
Per square foot size or percentage of sales? How's that work?
In terms of the vendors applying for the space?
Or the vendors that are in the space, as far as the ones that are renting there, like Sugar Bob's or any of the vendors are there. What is it per square foot? How's the fee structure work for them to pay for the spot that they're in?
Absolutely. So it's pretty much a flat commission rate. So we do charge 12% commission kind of across the board, no matter the square footage or booth location.
Okay.
12% of sales?
Yes.
And when's the last time you increased that?
I believe it was 2 years ago. I might have to double check that.
I think it was right after you asked that question the last time.
I think so, yeah. That seems pretty low. That's being pretty low, 12%. We get our vendors at the Champlain Valley Fair, they pay 20% or 20 or 22. Why? I mean, we don't mind investing, but we have to have some sort of a return, and it doesn't sound like something I think you ought to look at. And how's that determined? Is that on an honor system, or is it calculated under one register, or how does that work?
So we do require that all of the vendors leave the agency with a daily sales receipt. So we'll take a look at that at the very end of the fair. We're able to kind of combine all of those receipts and then send invoices for that 12%. We have been discussing the commission rate for quite a while. We're in talks with a lot of the other building managers within the Avenue of States as well. One of our considerations too is just understanding all of the vendors are making a big time commitment. They're pulling staff away too. So we do want to make the building as accessible to small Vermont businesses as we can. So it is definitely something that is on our minds as well, but we do want to make sure that the building is able to bring in as many vendors as we're able to get.
Well, it sounds like they're very successful, and that's great news. But on the other hand, how much are we asking for this year? What's the request?
100,000.
How much?
Over 100,000.
Was it 100? I don't even remember
How much they asking for this
Going
year?
for $1,330,000 for the big renovation in the Centennial.
I was a little wrong.
Yeah.
I was off by 90%.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't know if I could support something like that without some return on investment of some sort. I hear they're doing very well in their businesses, and that's good news. It's not only what they sell at the Big E, it's what the other areas that they're benefiting from. So Before I would invest that over $1 million, I'd want to know some better return on our investment. Thank you.
So just as a reminder, we don't yet have the capital bill, and I'm sure that a lot of this conversation is going to get picked up again as we get the capital bill. And I have no idea what the House is doing with it in the meantime. So this part of the conversation, I'm sure we're going to pick up on after the bill is delivered to us. Emily, did you have anything else you wanted to present by way of vendors? And if not, do we move into a conversation about the projects and what else has been talked about here today?
I have nothing additional, just another thank you. We're incredibly fortunate to have the group of vendors that we do. It's a really great community and great to fill the building with small local businesses. So thank you again.
So my brilliant idea for you, Emily, to take away and chew on is we had the big E. How about we develop the small E and have all these folks assemble somewhere in Vermont?
A great idea.
Just to seed the plant and
Put in Franklin County as your new field base.
Yeah.
I was sort of
Well, the central.
thinking.
No, he wants the central part of the state. Everyone gets-
I'd be Upper Valley.
Yeah, Upper Valley.
Economic.
Well, it's just an idea, something to think about. I have Joe Aja next before Jessica. I don't know whether the two of you had some order of.
No, I was just here in case the sport, you had questions about the building, and the same with Jessica.
Okay, well, I do understand we're going to have some more of this conversation once we have the numbers in front of us on the capital bill and whatever the House has done with it. So, well, I appreciate you coming by today. I think on a Friday afternoon, we're going to wrap it up here after hearing about all this food. We're all getting hungry anyway.
We were talking Werther's.
Yeah.
I'll get some more.
So thank you all very much for coming.
Yes, thank you very much.
And we will be talking to you as soon as we get the vehicle that we need to talk to you about. Been very educational and very fun, and thanks a lot for bringing all those treats with you. Hopefully we'll see you down at the Big E.
Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.